Olá, bom dia. Carl Monson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream, YouTube channel and podcast. And thank you for that excellent feedback that we're getting for the podcast. So do keep that up. You are the, I don't know, maybe you're the quiet majority, as is the way in modern society, listening in and we keeping a low profile. But always glad to hear from you. And thank you to those of you who have emailed me, carl@carlmunson.com, with your feedback and ideas for the podcast. And actually, more generally, Ray, thank you for your emails as well with feedback about the show. But that's an invitation to everybody to chip in as you wish. How was your weekend? That's part of what we do on a Monday, isn't it? And I'm thinking a nice, easygoing, leisurely one. I've had a curate's egg of a weekend, rather marvelous in parts and challenging in other parts. And delighted to be here in Portugal as ever. So if you have a Portuguese flavored weekend and want to share some of the things you've been up to that have made it uniquely Portuguese, so we can whet the appetites of others thinking of living a similar lifestyle here in Portugal, do let us know what you've been up to in the comments. Today, we will take a look at the week ahead in terms of weather. We'll look at the news and, of course, the horrible and continuing challenge of fires in Portugal. Some good news about how Portugal is responding to the refugee crisis in Greece, and anything else that you want to talk about. Like I said, nice and easy going on a Monday. I'm planning it to be calma and tranquillo this morning. But who knows how it can go, and it depends a lot on your comments. So where are they this morning? Everyone's been kind of is a little bit slow this morning, maybe similar sort of vibe to me from the weekend. And it's lovely for me to see out of my window the Vindima. You'll see on the starter screen that the Vindima has begun looking out of the Good Morning Portugal studio window. It was lovely. I woke up, looked out across the landscape. I think now they may have gone for a break, a well-earned break. And it's gone a bit quiet, but the tractor's been whirring away and people have been in the fields picking grapes across from the studio window. Absolutely lovely scene out there. So let's have a look at this weather outlook for the coming week, shall we? Praying for rain in many ways, notably for the to help with the firefighting, but also I think the plants need it. One of our top correspondents, Will Thompson, was saying he left his boots outside the front door because it usually makes it rain when he does that, but nothing. And he was saying it's getting kind of dry around where he lives, and I think that's probably the experience of quite a few people. The earth is getting a bit parched, isn't it? And we could do with a good downpour. It threatened it last night. I could hear a few. We live in the penthouse suite, and we could hear the rain on the roof, and it's a lovely sound a rare sound. But there was the threat of rain last night. Let's see how it's shaping up for the rest of the week. 19 degrees in Lisbon at the moment, rising to 27. A cloudy day today, tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then rain forecast in the capital from Thursday. But still some nice temperatures, 25 and 23 respectively on Thursday and Friday. Porto, 19, similar to Lisbon this morning, 19 degrees and cloudy. 25 degrees is the top temperature today, and a sunny day forecast for Porto, but similarly rain towards the end of the week. So cloudy start to the week, get to hump day, and then it may make way for rain. Still 26 degrees though on Thursday, moving into a rainy weekend. And that's looking like the forecast actually across the country, apart from in the south, Faro, but we'll get to Faro in just a moment. Coimbra, this is of particular interest to me. We tend to get the weather pattern. Although we're in the Aveiro district here, we tend to get the weather pattern of Coimbra, I've noticed. 19 degrees and cloudy, 29 the high today. Getting a lot of the central Portugal is getting a lot of the heat at the moment in the last week or two, or 3, 4 maybe. 29 degrees and cloudy today. Similar position on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the rain again coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, still with some nice temperatures. Faro, 21 degrees at the moment, 26 to come today, and a sunny day tomorrow. Tuesday, a glimpse of the sun, 25 degrees on Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, cloudy, and then some muted sunshine for the weekend. Not rain, though. Rain is not forecast for Faro. And so, yeah, and do let me know how the weather is where you are this morning. I noticed, look at this first message in this morning from Andrew Bryant. Hi from Singapore. That's the first. Good morning to you, Andrew. Thank you for tuning in from Singapore. I imagine it's quite nice and warm there this morning, if I remember correctly. My sister lives over in Singapore. Been there once or twice, and yeah, it's a pretty humid place, isn't it? But an amazing, a fascinating country, has to be said. Good morning to you, Andrew. Thank you for your greeting this morning. And Natalie's here. Morning. Flew back to UK last night. Now having to quarantine. Yeah. And not gather. The seven dwarves are not happy, are they? Well, one of them is. One of them notably isn't. But yeah, gather. Was it the rule of six? Maybe we shouldn't go into that right now. Now having to quarantine, ridiculous, as Vitor is a key worker and is going to work. Wish I'd stayed at my house in Ermida Sado. I bet you do. I bet you do. Keeping the flame, the Portuguese pilot light lit for you here, Natalie, until you can return. And so a very good morning to you and Vitor. Bon dia, Carlos, from Henry Jeffries in the UK. Good morning to you, Henry. Hope you're doing well, mister. One of our wine ninjas, of course, and we'll be announcing the wine that we're tasting this week, either today or tomorrow, so that you can join us on Thursday. And what we've been trying to do actually is select wines that you can get in in America or UK, so that people around the world can get literally a taste of Portugal. Sunshine in the bottle, and the convivial effect that it can have. So we'll announce that soon. Gary Austin in charge, and we have a rotating chair now, or rotating tasting leader. And if you fancy yourself as selecting a wine and leading a tasting one Thursday evening at 9 o'clock, just let me know. You'd be more than welcome. And if you're a wine producer and you'd like to have your wine featured on the Good Morning Portugal live stream or shared with the Good Morning Portugal community, give us a shout as well. Carl@carlmonson.com is my email address, or just PM me on Facebook. We'd love to talk to you. Talking of which, talking of the what are they called, victuals and the food and drink of Portugal, we have Ivan joining us from Relish tomorrow morning. Ivan will be here. Have spoken to Ivan on and off, and have been featured in Relish magazine, the food and drink magazine of Portugal, and a notable celebration tomorrow that we'll let you know more about. So she was joining us live, Ivan from Relish Portugal, the food and drink magazine, joining us tomorrow here on the live stream. Bon dia from a stunning and sunny rural West Wiltshire, where we've had a wonderful weekend in a lovely B&B. Paul, you know how to live. Good man. Sounds great. Stunning and sunny rural West Wiltshire. Good for you, mate. Having a weekend away at a lovely B&B, a traditional B&B with all the cereals in Tupperware, and maybe the macrame knitted toilet roll holder. Tell me. Nice. I think the B&B tradition is still alive and well in parts of the UK, which is fantastic, and Portugal, no doubt. Gary Austin. Good morning to you, Paul. Thanks for that. Bon dia, Carl. On with my Linda to Coimbra for her checkup at the hospital. Good luck with that. Boa sorte, Linda. Wine ninjas, the pair of them. And good luck with that appointment today, Linda. And have a lovely day in Coimbra. I hope you're going to extend your day visit there and have a little mooch about Coimbra. I think our love of the city is well known here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. Look at this. Singapore and now Hawaii from Richard Ruggaber. Hi, Richard. Aloha from Maui, Hawaii. How lovely. I guess it's kind of warm there as well, but maybe not quite as warm as Singapore. I don't know. You do tell us, Richard. It's always warm in Singapore, says Andrew. Over to Sweden now. How lovely. In Sweden, it's cloudy and 17 degrees. Anna Forsberg there. We hear a lot about Sweden and its approach to the pandemic, of course. And there Anna is in her profile pic, responsibly wearing a mask. You may wish to tell us more, because we only get the media reports, and as each day passes, it would appear there's a bigger picture to everything than just what's reported in the media. So much media, but so much of the news is so similar. Isn't that a funny thing that's happened in the last decade or two? Thank you, Anna, for saying good morning. And good morning from Italy. This is like the United Nations this morning. I love it. Cole Hauser is in Italy, planning to move to Portugal. What are your thoughts? I have just one for you, Cole. Yes. And I think a lot of other people will agree. So stay tuned. If you're planning to move to Portugal, this is the place to find out more. Ask your questions. Ask away. We have some lovely people already living here who are part of this illustrious community. And they are here to help. Or so they have been. Anyone who asks, questions here, they tend to get answered in a way that reflects a loving passion for Portugal. So yes, it's my simple answer to you, Cole. Stay tuned and let us know how we can help with that. Bon dia, Carl, from a sunny South Devon, from Penny. Good morning to you, Penny. Disappointed, of course, by the incoming new regulation measure in Portugal. There's to be no further roadside drinking, Penny. We'll address that in a different way when you get here. Good morning to you, Penny. Good evening. Wow. Good evening from North Queensland, Australia. Carl, from Tracy Stannerland. Where's everybody suddenly come from this morning? This is absolutely fantastic. So lovely to make your acquaintance, Tracy. And I have been to your part of Australia. I don't know if the Gold Coast, whether that's north, south, or central, but one notable place I went to in Australia was O'Reilly's up in the rainforest. What an amazing story that place has, and how lovely to do a treetop walk in the Australian rainforest and on the sounds of the birds there. Absolutely beautiful. So good morning to you, Tracy. And in Lapworth, it's going to be 26 degrees Celsius today from Adrian Caffrey. Good morning to you, Adrian. Thank you so much for getting in touch, and yes, enjoy those 26 degrees, my friend. And good morning from Texas, from Barbara Kaminsky. Good morning to you, Barbara. How lovely. And then back to Portugal this morning with a bon dia, my dear, from Pedrogo Grande, Pedrogo Pequeno, where they have the lovely market on a Sunday over here in Portugal. Good morning to you, Sean. How's it going with the sale of that little Quinta of yours? Did we agree? Was it 2, 3, or 4 or 5% on that deal? All right, so we've done the weather. Let's have a quick look at the news. We've got vocabulary to recap on as well. But let's. I'm sorry to do this to you on a Monday morning, but I think we should cover this out of respect to those fellas generally, I think, but to all the people who are manfully giving their service voluntarily as the bomberos, fighting fires wherever in Portugal, but particularly the sobering news from this part of Portugal that I'm going to tell you about now, the combat of a raging inferno in Proença Nova, which has been described here. I'm looking at the Portugal resident, sort of terrifying pictures, truly sort of end times coverage, isn't it? The combat of a raging inferno in Proença Nova has been described as totally impossible. This from the Portugal resident yesterday, the 13th of September. Today's monster fire now straddling, this was as of yesterday, now straddling 3 boroughs in the interior near Proença Nova / Castelo Branco / Oleiros, has been described as totally impossible to tackle due to high winds. 2 firefighters have been seriously injured and airlifted to hospitals. We lost a firefighter last week. I noticed when I went into Anadia, my local town, the flag at half-mast, of course, in Anadia. So a pretty grim week. And this situation yesterday, 3 others have been less seriously injured. 12 planes and helicopters have been in action through the afternoon, but now combat is down to 350 odd firefighters on the ground, down to that, and just over 120 appliances. This is the country's largest fire in a weekend that did not augur well due to stifling temperatures and low humidity. Temperatures are now dropping, and the forecast for next week includes rain, as we covered earlier on. The areas hit by the fire that began with great force, as a quote, early this afternoon, are parts of the country that have already been ablaze in July. For the time being, houses and communities, mercifully, thankfully, have been spared. So there is one of our news sources of Portugal. If you're new, there's a few new names and faces in with us this morning. If you want to keep in touch with what's going on in Portugal from English-speaking news sources, this is one of them. My personal favourite, and I do like the coverage and attention that Natasha Don gives to what's going on in Portugal. So one of the 2 principal English-speaking news resources, Portugal resident here, Other news that they're looking at this morning, Algarve, and as you can see here, Algarve and Alentejo on red fire alert. Even barbecues are off limits there. And this other featured article here, latest news, this from the 11th, but this is a little snapshot of what's going on in Portugal at the moment, as seems to be the case everywhere right now. Moment of individual and collective responsibility as new infections skyrocket. This is the moment of individual and collective responsibility, Health Minister Marta Temido said today, as the latest data puts the leap in the number of infections over the last 24 hours to 687, the highest daily total in 5 months. And, I need to say, you can do, you can, I suppose, make statistics look like a skyrocket, and it is the highest daily total in 5 months. But it's all governments seem to be talking about at the moment are the number of infections pulled out of context to make the case for, terror and fear. It may well be true, but it lacks context, in my view. And using the word skyrocket, I know you need to make a dramatic statement when you're writing newspapers, but I think we should be a little bit careful as well. With the increase in the number of new infections increasing in other countries, particularly in the United Kingdom, the messaging today is that citizens must pull together, knuckle down, and to a large extent police themselves. That's encouraging. The suggestion there that we take personal responsibility and police ourselves. Of course, Portugal, knowing what draconian government looks like, only going back as far as the 1970s. So I think that's part of the psyche here of owning these things collectively in terms of how the country is responding, and the government being very wary of being too draconian, which I personally find reassuring. The important good news in all the drama, here we go, third para for the good news. The important good news in all the drama is that the rise in infections is not so far connected to any kind of rise in hospital admissions. Indeed, numbers in general COVID wards and intensive care are slightly down today on those of yesterday. I am so glad I tempered the tone of the headline with that third paragraph. But the bottom line is we're at a crucial point. The country is going back to work, school in the new state of contingency next week. And that will be referring to this week, of course, and the state of contingency, which begins tomorrow, the 15th of September. And we've covered that in depth, the measures that are coming in. If you look at our podcasts or the YouTube channel, you'll see how we've covered that in the last week. Many are concerned that some of the new rules are unenforceable. And this is what's happening, isn't it, all around the world, is, perhaps the time has come where it is recognized that these are recommendations and that we should perhaps rely more on people's personal sense of responsibility and also people's right to take risks, I guess, particularly when it comes to the meeting of groups in commercial establishments within a 300-meter radius of schools of no more than 4 people. This struck me as a very hard thing to establish, take measures, and then you've got the cafe that's 301 meters away. And, how do you decide whether, a group of 16 school children dividing themselves into 4 can make this a little bit meaningless? It's quite bizarre. I understand, the context behind it, but I think we need a little bit more, don't we, than just sort of random measures that are an effort to make sense of it all. And isn't it difficult right now making sense of it all? Said the health minister at the press conference last week, I understand people's concerns over behavior that may be less than adequate in the face of the rules, but I also know we can rely on civil society to make younger people, the school community, parents, etc., aware when rules are not being respected. We also have mechanisms like the Escola Segura, the police program in schools, I guess, with the intervention of security forces. That sounds so serious, doesn't it? That will allow us to control these situations. We're in a period of adaptation to the way schools will run with new rules, but we have measures in place to deal with eventual risks. Eduardo Cabrita, Minister of Interior Administration, re-emphasized the need for a sense of citizenship, adding it won't be possible to have police in every place that 10 people meet. And we certainly don't want that, good heavens, to ensure the limit stays that way. So some interesting sort of nuances and inferences in the messaging that's coming from the government there. But I have to say, I do trust the Portuguese people's sort of down-to-earth common sense on this, such is my experience of it coming up to my 3rd anniversary of being in this country. So there you go. I don't know how you would wish to respond to that. Some interesting coverage there. Hold on a minute. We need to rewind back into. I'm not sure if I said good evening when we received our greeting from Tracy Stananen. Tell us, how has Monday been, Tracy? You're ahead of us here. And good morning from Prestatyn in North Wales, home of many a soul. A Northern Soul gathering, I believe, Prestatyn, and another Soul all day. As a bit of a Soul fan myself. Oh, yeah, talking of music, that was a nice little segue, wasn't it? Tonight on the Portugal playlist, music from José Afonso, Silence 4, Taxi, Marta Pereira, of course, the Queen of Fado, Amalia Rodrigues. And we're doing not a traditional Fado track of hers, but Summertime, her interpretation of Summertime, to give you a little bit of heads up on the Portugal playlist tonight. And Masquenada from Sergio Mendes, the first Portuguese I must have learned without realizing it, and Marisa, track from Marisa, among others. And Kate Baxter, one of our correspondents in Devon in the UK, has a new album out, and I'm hoping that we can play a track from that new collection. So if you have any music that's part of your planning to be in Portugal, that is part of your road trip in Portugal, that you've learned about since you've been in Portugal, that's for you. Tonight, the Portugal playlist, join us, and the link to that radio show, good old-fashioned radio show, no visuals there, tonight from 10 o'clock. We do a Good Evening Portugal output every day here on Facebook. And tonight, actually, yeah, strictly speaking, not on Facebook tonight, old school internet radio. That's not very old school. Old school radio via the internet. Let me put it that way. And the link will be on Facebook tonight, just before 10 o'clock. So do please join us for that as I play you a few tunes. So yeah, good morning to you, Elsa Riley in Prestatyn, North Wales. The update from Padrago Paquino is still not sold, but will not forget you. Winking emoticon emoji there from Sean. And yes, let's see what we can do to hook you up. If there are people talking about making plans to live in Portugal, here is a man who's selling property in Portugal. Bom dia from Ana Rita Vera. Good morning to you, Anna. Lovely to have your company. And yes, Sean mentioning there that lovely little farm, putting a few adjectives in there just to whet your appetite. Yes, the aforementioned Will Thompson sent you some morning view photos from Obidos Castle. Yeah, thank you so much, Will. That's a great reminder to anybody who's got views of Portugal. We like to do a morning picture, obviously. The Hola Bon Dia placeholder. Just give everyone a chance to settle in and settle down, bring their cup of tea, which reminds me, just have a little sip of mine. Oh, beautiful. And yes, whilst you're getting ready to join the Good Morning Portugal live stream, if you're an early bird, we feature a morning view of Portugal, but we do feature others as well. And of course, we do Good Evening Portugal in the evening. So if you've got a lovely sunset you want to share with us, do please PM me or email carl@carlmunson.com your lovely photos, and I'll take it as permission for me to use them if you're sending to me. And thank you, Will. Can't wait to see that, Will. Barbara, the chicken who we featured last week. I've got a picture of her in our vocabulary recap, but got some lovely names for our chickens: Madonna, Whitney, Barbara, Kate Bush. That would be Brittany. So we're gonna. The thing is, we got more names than chickens now, so it looks like we're gonna have to get some more chickens. And they, bless them, we're new to the chicken raising game, but one of them is producing reliably a couple of eggs a day now. It's amazing, and the wonderful sounds they make when they're laying, singing to the glory of the goodness of nature, or whatever it is they do, and it's a miracle to me. It really is. It's incredible, and so lovely to eat fresh pert eggs. They are. It's like when you eat a fresh egg, it's got, like traditionally, how a child would draw an egg, yellow, white. It seems a very fresh egg, freshly laid, seems to have three parts to it. It's got like one, it's got the yolk, but it's got two white rings on it, which is something that, like I say, is new to me since we've cultivated our friendship with these hens, and it's been amazing watching them grow and now laying eggs for us. Superb. They're not actually, to be fair, they're not laying eggs for us, are they? Laying eggs anyway, and we and we borrow them. But what a wonderful thing this is, and great for our kids as well. Case-demic is what Will's calling it, with the how this thing is being reported now. 80% possible false positives. It's a mess. Moonshot is impossible and will be a huge disaster. Moonshot, I think, is the British approach to managing the pandemic. It sounds more like a Bond film, doesn't it? And that's what's needed right now. You know, what else can happen in the UK apart from a heroic James Bond-like figure coming in and sorting it all out? Pandemic and Brexit, maybe Bond, if you could do both while you're in the building, having abseil through the window, whatever. Anna, going back to Anna, in Sweden, there is almost no one that wears the face mask. We have bought to wear when coming to Portugal. Oh, I see. Right. Amazing. So your face mask is in honor of your visit to Portugal and not what will be worn at home. And you're on your way in a couple of weeks. So my profile image has nothing to do with what's happening here in Sweden. Interesting. Which country that have the right approach to coronavirus, COVID, is yet to see. But in Sweden, there is no increasing, as there seems to be everywhere else right now. Yeah, and people are looking towards Sweden, aren't they? And we're looking at Sweden in the last months, you know, shocked and askance by what was happening there. Looking forward to coming back to Portugal, you say, where we felt safe when the pandemic started. Yeah, me too. That's so fascinating. Thank you, Anna, for your insight there. First person testimony, guys, that we're looking at here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. People talking to people, unmediated by media agendas. I can't claim to be without an agenda, I have to say. You know, I'm a human being. We're all human beings, and we all have our little predilections, don't we? And preferences. But I would like to think as well that when we have a situation like this where people are talking to each other person to person, or, you know, just about via comments here, unedited, unexpurgated, I'll slip that in anyway, even if it's not quite right the word to use. You know, we get a richer picture, don't we, and a truer picture of what's going on. And look at this. When we're going around the world this morning, we are talking to people all over the world. Singapore, Holland, Australia, Hawaii this morning, and now Holland. Yeah, Nell, I'm getting excited and starting to cough. But I always cough when I talk about COVID, so don't worry. It's just some weird bodily reflex I've cultivated over these months. Good morning from Holland, says Nell. Good morning to you, Nell. Great to have you here. Will Thompson, when looking at Scandinavian countries, keep in mind they have the best vitamin D levels, vitamin C supplements in their food and culture. Yes, and this again is all about the rich picture, isn't it? Let us not focus too much on single things such as masks, or, you know, so many things get picked upon and taken out of context, don't they? And we just have to develop, it seems, us human beings at the moment, an understanding of context and background and how things are quite complex. And we have to take time to understand them rather than just like, you know, okay, what is it I need to do? 2 meters apart. Okay, that's great. Wash my hands with alcohol, job done. It's really not as simple as that, is it? And, you know, we've ruled some of the things completely out of the picture, such as, you know, our trusting our bodies, trusting our intuition, which I think should also be part of the picture. Not the whole picture, but part of the picture. Thank you, Will. Erudite as ever. Bon dia from Southsea this morning from Mark Rigby. Good morning to you, Mark, and thank you for your contributions to the Portugal playlist, the radio show that we're doing tonight. Tracy Stannerland, Monday has been busy for me. Oh, yes, so we're in the evening now, back in Australia. It's like being in a time machine, isn't it? It is nice to be sitting and relaxing in 23 degrees. I am in the Whitsundays, which is about a little further north from your visit on the Gold Course, only 1,200 kilometres away. It's a big country, isn't it? I remember flying home from Australia to the UK, and it took a day just to fly across Australia. Incredible. Incredible. Thank you, Tracy, for that update. Good morning from Lisboa, from Lee. Good morning to you, Lee. This is wonderful this morning. Thank you for saying hi. And it was part of the feedback, actually, about the podcast. And I have to strike a balance here. It can seem like, I think, to some of the people listening on the podcast, there's our little live gang talking to each other, and I'm responding to the comments. And I can't not respond to the comments. That is a really important thing to me today. So I will try and get that balance right. I don't want you podcast guys feeling left out of this. So why not send me a message, which I can read out during the live show? or join us occasionally. Live people, maybe try the podcast or subscribe to YouTube and vice versa. Mix it up. It would be lovely to hear from people who would normally consume this after the event, popping in occasionally for a live mention. We'll give you VIP treatment if you're making that sort of effort. Good morning to you, Lee. Just eating my freshly laid egg on toast, says Elsa. From the farm, I keep my horses on tastiest eggs ever. So there you go, another egg aficionado. I'm surprised that the likes of Gary and other dad joke purveyors haven't weighed in with any excellent puns so far, but we'll see what happens now with that little prompt. Yes, Elsa, isn't it the most amazing thing? Thank you very much for your message. Give a thanks to what? Yes, Lolo, thank you to you for mentioning this, saying this. Give a thanks to our amazing firemen today. We have a huge fires in our areas yesterday and today. Yeah, I don't know if you're here earlier on when I was talking about what's happening with the fires in Portugal, Lolo, but you're absolutely right. The Bombeiros do an amazing job. We've lost Bombeiros lives already this year, and injuries in the fires that were happening over the weekend. They are amazing people, men and women, and yes, hats off to them. And cough up when you see their collections. It's a voluntary service. It's such an important part of Portuguese life and culture in the communities, and it relies on contributions as well. So I think it's good to show our admiration and respect in every possible way to the Bombeiros. Thank you for that prompt, Lolo. Henry Jeffries, COVID deaths almost non-existent. Other deaths up 500% per week and rising. The consequences of lockdowns. Absolutely, Henry. Bringing that into the picture here that we could consider. And that is in the UK, he says. We're not really seeing that sort of reportage, and it's right that you say it, and I'm happy to read that, Henry, as part of a richer and more realistic picture. Bon dia. Here we go from Belgium, from Jani. Carlo, do you also have a gallo? Oh, madam. I do. I'm not going to say it, but I do not have a gallo, and we still get the eggs. When you're a rookie in the chicken business, you think, do we have to have a cockerel? Like my friend on the right of my picture there, he is the Gallo de Barcelo, the legendary cockerel of Portugal, who has the powers. He invokes the powers of what is it? Wisdom and integrity and so on. Excellent Portuguese values. This gentleman to the right of me on the screen, but I don't have a cockerel. And I guess my understanding of it is we only need that if we want to make baby chicks. Sorry to give you a birds and the bees. You know how it works. Come on, you must all know how it works by now. So and what was the rookie surprise? Of course, is you think maybe you need a cockerel to have the hens lay at all, but you don't. They lay anyway. I found. And sorry if I'm here we go teaching any grandmothers to suck eggs here, but that was our learning curve. And to answer you, Jenny, no, I don't. But I'm going to tell you more about the gallo and other vocabulary before we finish today. In Wales, that the rule has been enforced today to wear masks in shops, etc. Many will be refusing, and this is where we're at, right, Elsa? This is where we're at, where people are a little bit. This is mixture, isn't there, of cynicism, anxiety, mistrust brewing, and I guess this is what governments. I think politicians know this. And this is part of, and it might be a main part of their job, mightn't it, is managing cynicism, negativity, and mistrust and anxiety. That perhaps could be the job description of a politician. And we're going to see this. We're going to see what's going to happen in people's refusal, I think. Let me just have another sip of tea. Delicious. All that's needed to go with that is one of the aforementioned eggs and a few soldiers. Hint, hint, Mrs. M. International audience is great. Thank you, Elsa, for that, by the way. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens. International audience is great. Global community on a local scale. Absolutely. Our focal point here, of course, is Portugal. And Portugal, bless Portugal, in this way is attracting an international audience, I think, for all the right reasons, one of which I'll tell you about in just a moment. Before we do those words, we recap on the vocabulary of last week. You know what that reminds me? I haven't got, maybe I have. If you've got a word or phrase that you would like to chip in with right now, this should be collaborative, actually. I don't really see myself as a Portuguese teacher, just, a provider of a service to do with all things Portuguese, cultural, linguistic and so on. But, immigration and that experience. But if you have a word or a phrase that you would like to put forward as the palavra do dia or palavras do dia today, do pop them in the comments. That would be great. But yes, you're absolutely right, Will. I'd love this vibe. International audience, global community on a local scale. This technology has enabled that absolute thing that you're talking about, and I'm very grateful to Facebook. I'm not grateful to Facebook for all its gifts to humanity, but it's a work in progress. And this live streaming thing and how we can connect like this, I think, is truly amazing. Thank you, Facebook, for that. Hola, bon dia to you, Owen, as well. Here on the screen now, changing skies in Villa de Rey today. So rain perhaps on its way. That rhymes, doesn't it? Rain on the way in Villa de Rey this morning, or this week anyway. I tried leaving my boots outside to make it rain last night. I mentioned this already, Will. It's getting dry around here. Sadly, didn't work. Maybe I should have left my washing out to dry. See, that usually works. Yeah, wash a car, put your washing out, leave your boots out, and if all else fails, do a rain dance. Yes, Will. And here's an awkward question. Sorry, that wasn't a dramatic pause for the awkward question. It was because I needed to cough, as I always do when I talk about COVID. Portugal closed the immigration for illegal arrived people. Please confirm. I can't confirm or deny that. I don't know exactly what you're referring to there, Adam. I don't know about that, and I will look into it. But I do have the article from the Portugal News about the people who are coming from Greece into Portugal that I want to share with you, and Portugal's admirable response. Lindo, thank you, Adam. I'll look into that. Lindo was my latest word, aka pretty. Lots of pretty things around this scenic rural village. We'll go with that, Will. We will go with lindo today. So I'm going to stick that on the screen right now. It's not gallo a galinha as it was most recently when I typed in the palavra do dia. Talking of things podcast listeners don't see, explaining now that on the screen is the word lindo, which is the masculine of pretty, and linda, which I now feel obliged actually to change that. So I've got linda and lindo as the words, the palavra do dia today for pretty or beautiful. And this was something when we first arrived in Portugal, we would have quite a lot of old ladies, it has to be said, coming up to our children and saying lindo or linda. And I'm thinking, that's interesting. This old lady thinks my daughter's called Linda, which, of course, if you are called Linda, your name means pretty or beautiful in Portuguese. And then we discovered, as Will is saying there, palavra do dia today on Good Morning Portugal, thanks to Will, lindo or linda, depending on whether you're using the masculine or the feminine, which is an identity politics sort of postmodern Marxist minefield that I'm not going to go into right now, but there you go. Masculine and feminine, linda and lindo. Everyone calls Jack Linda. Finally figured it out. Well done, Will. On the language curve there. And that's his dog that he's talking about. So, yes, talking of immigration, not so much illegal immigration. So I can't help you with that, Adam, but the Portugal News is covering this. The Portugal available to receive refugees from Moreira. And, when you see the pictures of the fires in Portugal and, in the United States, you get a sense as well of what's going on for these. It's miserable, totally miserable, this situation in the Greek island of Lesbos. The Portuguese government says, the Portugal News Online has expressed its willingness to take in people who were in the Moria refugee camp following the fire on the Greek island of Lesbos. Absolutely pitiful pictures. These people, certainly the ones I saw being interviewed, have come from Syria. Their country's been destroyed by international proxy war in Syria. They've taken refuge in the Greek island of Lesbos in what looks like a prison camp, which subsequently is on fire. And there they are, homeless once more, and on the road with all they have in their hands. It's just like absolutely pitiful. And come on, we can do better than this, humanity. The position of the Portuguese authorities was forwarded to the European Commission as part of a European solidarity effort, according to a communique issued by the Ministry of the Interior and the Office of the Minister of State and Presidency. This effort will result in the implementation, in conjunction with the Greek authorities, of two existing instruments. These are the bilateral agreement between the two countries for the relocation of refugees and asylum seekers, and the Portuguese demonstration of readiness to receive a total of 500 unaccompanied minors. And even more pitiful, right? Children without parents, who need homes, who need, to create some sort of semblance of family life and a recognizable childhood. Under the bilateral agreement already signed between Portugal and Greece, the already planned transfer of the first 100 persons will be speeded up. This agreement, which provides for the reception of up to 1,000 people in refugee camps in Greece, has been given the green light by the European Commission and has been accompanied by the International Organization for Migration. As regards unaccompanied minors, a further 28 are expected to arrive in September from refugee camps in Greece. It is the Greek authorities who determine the profiles of the people by prioritizing those who are most vulnerable, the Portuguese government specified in a press release. So it looks like Portugal is doing its bit there on a government level. And, I know this is a controversial subject, but I mean, it's got to be past that kind of small-minded concern about this, right? And I know, this is no small matter. It's not easy for the people who are coming, obviously, hugely traumatized by one experience after another. And it isn't easy either, is it, in communities who are welcoming people in? It's the unknown. I totally get that. But I also believe we have it within us to manage this. And we can't not do anything. That's the thing, isn't it? We can't not do anything about it, because this problem is not going away. So we have to sort of rise to the occasion, I think, and find constructive ways of dealing with this situation, which perhaps might include not bombing people out of their homes in the first place. Might be quite a good first step in that. Okay, we'll finish with a recap on the vocab from last week. Slightly more positive note. Let's have a look. Linda, that's right. We'll just have to figure out the masculine feminine now. Crikey, I didn't know about that. It's the same spelling and meaning in Spanish also, says Adrian, giving us a rich texture of linguistics. Thank you, Adrian. Ty, we came across a new Portugal idiom. Oh dear, the ant now has phlegm. What on earth might that mean? I mean, come on. Seriously, answers not on a postcard anymore. We are in the 21st century where you can respond immediately to that quiz question now. What does the Portuguese idiom, the ant now has phlegm, mean in English? Tell us. Joe Johnson, hola, bon dia from Joe. Joe and Ty, congratulations on your beautiful beauty. I mean, let's celebrate the arrival of that beauty with our palavra do dia today. Linda, lindo. Oh, what a little chunk of love. The photo you posted up on Facebook was just so delightful. And, in this crazy world we live in, it's so beautiful to see just a chunk of love and innocence before our eyes there. So thank you for that treat and congratulations to you. I've created my own to rival holding the donkey's ear, which is massaging the parrot's ear. Sorry, massaging the parrot's feet. Yes, we were into idioms and colloquialisms. We were wondering who had the best. It was going to be head-to-head, Portuguese versus English, because mostly English people here who were talking about it. But the idioms, the colloquialisms are fantastic in Portugal. And we covered a few of them last week. And there was one that came in, holding the donkey's ear, which is people, the lead swingers, the people who are a little bit work-shy, the work-shy fops among us. They're not mucking out. They're not feeding the donkey. They're just holding the donkey's ears. And Ty has a new hybrid of that, a globalized hybrid, called massaging the parrot's feet. So Joe will occasionally be saying, what are you doing in there? Massaging the parrot's feet again? Come on, we got work to do. So that's fantastic, Ty. But I do not know what the ant now has phlegm could possibly mean. And sorry to use that word this early in the morning, if indeed it is the time zone that you're in. Not a problem for Australia, as we found out already today. The response of Portugal to this yet again just demonstrates its big heart. Absolutely, Mark, regarding the those unaccompanied seekers of a new home, seekers of safety, let's call them that, seekers of sanity and normality. So yes, the big heart of Portugal once again for all to see there. And yes, Joe says thanks. We're so happy. Of course, we're a beautiful grandchild. Absolutely wonderful there. So yeah, well, let's finish now then with the palavra do dia recap from last week, because that was the other podcast feedback. Any chance we could keep it to 30 minutes? Yes is my answer. No is the reality. I just can't do it, can I? When there seems to be so much to talk about and all your lovely comments come in. But I will, yes, points well made, points well received. And yes, you're absolutely right. We should keep this down to the 30 minutes, if at all possible. I'm trying to get a screen up here with the palavras do dia on, and I can't see how to do it, quite frankly, at the moment. Oh, here we go. Here's how to do it. And yes, so there we go. Although that's not all of them. What is going on here? Oh dear, that's just zooming in. I'm having a sort of old granddad tech moment here. I think I'm just going to have to tell you what they are, aren't I? It would appear, unless I do some quick jiggery pokery to see if I can salvage this situation. I had it all nicely set up before the show for your viewing and listening pleasure. Let's see if we can open up those bad boys one more time. There we go. And yes, because I got a little funny. We were talking about bread all week last week, and I think we've got it on screen now. And it occurred to me on this first thingy that I'm going to show you. This first slide, it's doing some really weird stuff now. This is exciting stuff, isn't it? On the internet, man struggling with technology live stream. But have you got that now? Here we go. Look, Paul d'Avo, and I was going to go with Avo or Avo as word of the day, because we've got new fresh grandparents in the community here. Avo meaning grandma and granddad, and Paul d'Avo meaning, the bread of the grandparents or grandma or granddad. I'm not sure which, but actually, if you think about it, Paul d'Avo literally means nan bread, which tickles me, perhaps not you. Also last week, aldeia, the word for village, and there's a beautiful picture there of a schist village, I suspect in central or more northern Portugal. Lovely visual there, schist village. Aldeia, the word for village. Colheita, meaning harvest. Got into a bit of trouble with Filomena because I said vindima was harvest, and that refers specifically to the wine harvest, which is one of our earlier palavras do dia. And there is what looks like a homesteader's harvest there. A couple of, was that a courgette, a cucumber, and a few beautiful homegrown tomatoes. So colheita is harvest, and it's that time of year, of course. Here we go. Back to Gianni's question. The Gallo de Barcelo on the right, the Galinha, our very own Barbara Streisand, looking like Britney Spears, Henry thought. So Galinha is hen, Gallo is cockerel. And we started the week, it was the start of a windy week, I think. So for some reason, I can't remember why, but we wanted the word wind, which of course has several contexts. But the wind that was blowing the flag there, that kind of wind, weather wind, is vento. So there you go. And the word we had on Monday, very sort of rural theme, countrified theme. And that was because we'd been to the A Camponesa wine shop in Coimbra. But Camponesa means peasant as a noun. And I think also as an adjective, and rural. So paysan, peasant, countrified, you could say as well. And also a flavor of crisps, Michael pointed out, whose birthday it was. Happy birthday to you, Michael, on Saturday, and to Scott on Sunday. Very, very happy birthday to you both, and I hope you had a superb birthday weekend. Your birthdays are a day apart, which must be lovely. You can have a whole birthday 2 day, especially when it falls on the weekend like it did last weekend. So parabéns to you both, belated parabéns, and thank you so much to all of you for joining us this morning. Yes, and thank you for that acknowledgement there from Jacqueline. I like the nan bread. Very good. Thank you. It was all worthwhile, me creating that meme. I thoroughly enjoyed my first podcast with you all, especially whilst my husband is away playing golf. So uninterrupted, I'll be... Yes, there's another one. He's holding the donkey's ears on the golf course. Elsa Riley, thank you so much. I'll be joining many more. I'm so glad to hear that. Here's a random question. How much colloidal silver do you put in your water? I don't know. I leave that to Mrs. M. But it's a few drops as far as I'm aware. Just PM me, Jacqueline. Well, let's talk about that. Mrs. M knows how to create the stuff. Yeah, contact me privately, and we'll tell you all about it. Absolutely, because it just seems a slightly strange pursuit to be talking about in the main. I call it the mainstream, but in the main things. I'll be delighted to give you a buzz, or you send us a message, and we'll tell you all about our my lifelong adventure with colloidal silver. Talking of all the things we can do as a response to the pandemic, and very little is talked about building immunity, right? And an all-round picture of taking responsibility for your health. Not much of that, I don't think, in the coverage. Colloidal silver for me has been an amazing antibacterial. It kind of superstitious. I've got no great reason to. In many ways, to me, it's like my like a sort of crucifix or totem or something. But I go to it religiously and believe in it. Colloidal silver, because of the backstory. How silver is an antimicrobial agent, obviously I don't know about its effects with viruses before anyone makes the distinction there, but I do use it and have used it for decades now, and have great faith in it. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. There you draw me out, Jacqueline, but do PM me if you'd want to know more. And just last word here, because I've got to go meditate now. Not last word, another one has stuck it. I'm a retired health practitioner, says Jacqueline. Maybe you can tell me, Jacqueline, how much I should be taking, but look forward to talking to you anyway. Frank, our man, I said we do something every evening as well, didn't I? Friday nights, Expat Sport Report. We had a lot of fun last Friday with the man like FD Devane here. I can't say he's our favourite Canadian, can I? That's just far too controversial, but he's our favourite Canadian Expat Sport Report host. Let's put it that way. That's not going to offend anyone, is it? Not least Frank, who is in beautiful Queenbury. Can't stay away. Excellent news. Excellent news. Frank, if only because you're nearer to me, and I would like more of you in my life. I look forward to balmy evenings in Coimbra where we're talking rubbish over a couple of beers or glasses of wine. Which is really pretty much the show idea on a Friday night. A lack of coverage and good advice on not just previous science, but now confirmed COVID science is glaringly negligent. Let's leave that hanging there as a last comment. I think you're absolutely right, Will. It's not a rich picture, but thankfully we can be here to furnish the bigger picture for those who are bothered and interested in doing so. Thank you so much again for staying with me for so long this morning, as I've whittled on for nearly 53 minutes. And thank you to anyone who's made it to by the time this makes a podcast. Thank you to anybody who is still here at minute 53 on a podcast, because I know that's an epic and marathon effort. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. See you tomorrow, or see you tonight on the Portugal playlist. Até já, próxima, até amanhã, beijinhos, abraços, ciao, ciao.